but it's my privilege to bring in Erika Kirk, Turning Point USA CEO. And she wrote the foreword to Charlie Kirk, her husband's book, Stop in the Name of God, Why Honoring the Sabbath Will Transform Your Life. Erika, great to see you.
Likewise, good to see you.
It's hard to imagine a busier person than you that's been through more than you have been. And that's when I found out 2 weeks ago, she's going to be coming by with a book tour. I thought to myself, oh my goodness.
Well, it's not my book, it's my husband's, and it's bittersweet because these are his final words that he left, not just the world, but also to me. And he used to write me a letter every single Saturday during the Sabbath for him. So this book now is my love letter for the rest of my life.
So what's interesting is, I think it's Larry Arnn of Hillsdale.
Dr. Larry Arnn.
So here is, I'm looking at Charlie when he was 22, 23. I think I was invited to speak at one of your events. And I go, oh, yeah, I'll speak at it. No problem. I didn't really know what Turning Point was. And I walk in, and everyone in the hotel knows who I am. And I walk in, I had to speak at 7 in the morning. And there was probably 6,000 people there. I go, what is going on here? And he goes, these are all college kids. And he was sitting back as if this is just the beginning. But it was interesting when Larry Arnn spoke at your husband's memorial. He said how he came to him and said, this is what I want to do. And he basically said, you got to learn more. You got to study. And
That's
he took
correct.
33 separate courses from Hillsdale.
He did.
And what did that bring to him? And how did that lead to this?
He always was on the hunt for truth and beauty and things that were eternal. That was his focus. And when he saw that he didn't want to be a talking figure, he wanted to be a movement leader and a thought leader. And so in order to do that, you need to constantly be reading, learning, doing everything that you need to be able to make a difference in a way where it's not, I'm preaching at you. Instead, it was along the lines of, no, I read this and this works, this doesn't work. Let me show you a different way of living.
And that's what came into I also noticed, and as I mentioned this on Fox and Friends, that Dennis Prager was somebody that he dedicated the book to.
He did.
Right? Because what did Dennis Prager bring to Charlie Kirk?
So Charlie listened to every single fireside chat. I had the blessing of being able to see Dennis this past week when we were on our way to Florida. I wanted to see him. I wanted to be able to just read to him the dedication of the book that Charlie did for him and just say, Dennis, you will always be one of the most influential voices of our time. Thank you for taking the time to pour into my husband.
And he's a religious scholar. He writes books that what I've seen him put together, man, you can't take a sentence off.
No,
he
is so phenomenal at breaking down the Torah and going through and writing commentaries on the Old Testament, which Charlie read all of them. He read all of them, and you cannot understand the New Testament if you do not read the Old Testament. You cannot separate the two. And so Charlie knew that if I'm going to write a book on this, on the Sabbath, I need to understand fully what this is, implement it into my life, see how it works, and then show others this is how it's done.
Erika Kirk here. The name of the book is Stop in the Name of God, Why Honoring the Sabbath Will Transform Your Life. I have always, and again, I am not a religious scholar, but I know people who are Orthodox Jewish, Orthodox Jews. And that's the ones, and they're, by the way, almost all of them are almost billionaires. But they go, don't call me on Saturday. Why? I can't get back to you. I'm off. Remember Joe Lieberman? He's running for president. I'm off. I don't use cars. I don't do anything. I didn't equivocate. I didn't play that out to Christianity. Is it for both religions?
Well, it is a commandment. It's part of the 10 Commandments. But what Charlie's trying to explain in this book is that put the legalism aside. Look at this from the standpoint of if you don't honor the Sabbath, meaning the day of rest, God is asking you to just press pause and rest and be with him so that he can use you and you can be the man or the woman that he needs you to be in order to make a difference in this world. Charlie's saying, don't get caught up in the legalism of it. Instead, do what you can to say, okay, these are a few hours that I can turn my phone off, disconnect, be with the Lord, be with my family, and unplug. There are certain things, like for us, we would make sure that Friday night, it was family dinner night, and then all day Saturday was family time. Charlie always prioritized myself and the children, and he would also make sure that we would get a date night in. He made sure that I always knew that I was always above anything else. And he made that amplified during the Sabbath.
It's interesting because after he hosted Fox and Friends, so I texted him right away and I said, are you interested in doing this? I've never seen somebody just take to it right away because Fox and Friends is a slice of life. It's not here's the news. It is how do you feel about the news?
Right.
What is your opinion on the news?
Right.
Is there a format better built for him? So he goes, Brian, not a chance. Do you see my weekends? And a part of it was this. He goes, yeah, I'm not available.
They're sacred. They're sacred because he could not do or operate on the level that he was without having a minute to breathe. And he wanted to also be able to show an example. He's a father. People sometimes forget, yes, he was a movement leader, but he was a dad to a son. Even though my baby boy is very little, he did not take that lightly. He knew that I am not raising a boy, I am raising a man. And so if I'm going to be what I want my son to be or to look up to, I need to live up to that standard. I need to stop doing things that Charlie didn't drink, not because, again, being legalistic, but he could not operate the way he needed to operate being drunk. Like that just does not happen. Or going out and partying with the boys. That doesn't happen. Yes, you can have fun. There's many different ways of having fun. This is not supposed to put guardrails on your quote unquote fun. It's supposed to put into perspective how you can be a true spiritual head and leader of your home so that your son can be the spiritual leader and head of his home. And we need to make strong young men that are respectful to their wives and to their children and know, look, there's a different way of living that will enhance your life in a way you couldn't even have imagined rather than thinking you're getting your answers from college.
So the name of the book is Stop in the Name of God. Go to 45books.com to order it right now. But just a question about you.
Yes.
Who is responsible for raising someone like yourself with the values and ethics and drive that you have? Like, how did you become you?
I have an amazing family. My mother's the blessing of all. My father was amazing as well. Although my parents were divorced when I was 5, I was very, very close also to my grandparents. And my grandparents, I was with them every Saturday. So without me even knowing, I guess now just even thinking of this with you, that I guess was my Sabbath. I went and stayed with my grandparents Saturday, all day, Saturday night, would come home to my mom on Sunday. But on Saturday night, after having dinner with my grandparents, we'd watch the Lawrence Welk Show. I guess that started when I was 10 and didn't end until I was 18. So for me, but that was but this is really sweet, even reminiscing on this. That was, I guess, my form of a Sabbath.
So you were always family oriented.
Always. Family is so important. And Charlie saw that too. And that's why we understood how important tradition was and pouring into your family and being so close to each other, because at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, with your short life here, what are you leaving behind? You don't get to take anything with you. Charlie did not have anything attached to his casket. He didn't have his books, his radio show, nothing. He came into this world the same way as he exited. And so what are you going to leave behind? You're leaving behind your legacy with your family and your children.
So he felt like he was in a rush to achieve. Yeah. He had a vision. And from what you know and what you know about his childhood, what laid the groundwork for that?
He always was so good with time. He was an unbelievable person of time management down to the millisecond. And he always knew that if I could steward my time in a way that was productive and a way that was always moving towards something bigger and something greater, that he was in the right jet stream. And that's how he operated.
Did that come from his parents, or is that how he was?
I think that's just how he was wired. It was never I don't think it's very, very hard to learn how to be very good at time management. You can learn, but to master it at his level, that's a total God blessing and a gift.
Oh, yeah. For a guy that had so much going on, he never seemed in a rush, right? He always seemed like he knew.
He was very intentional. Okay, I have 5 minutes. And then he got everything out in 5 minutes, and then he was on to the next meeting, on to the next event. Wow. He was very intentional.
So Erika Kirk is doing a book tour for Charlie Kirk's last book, her husband. It's Stop in the Name of God, Why Honoring the Sabbath Will Transform Your Life. I got it yesterday. I got through half of it in like an hour. It's really great.
It's powerful.
It's excellent. So, but you don't stop, and I know that when the message, I know it's certain to be a bestseller. Go to 45books.com. A few more minutes with Erika Kirk in a moment. She's also going to be on the 5 tonight, so if she's not busy enough, don't move. You listen to the Brian Kilmeade Show. So Charlie Kirk's words and thoughts come to life in his brand new book, Stop in the Name of God, Why Honoring the Sabbath Will Transform Your Life. Writing the forward to that book is Erika Kirk, and by the way, the introduction was actually written by Charlie. So she is here to explain the book, what it meant, and how it was all put together. And you can get it at 45books.com. We got to make this, and it was a runaway bestseller, which I'm sure it will be. So, Erika, as everything you got to do, running Turning Point Action, which is the vote, Turning Point USA, which is the college tour and the next generation, the youth. And then you have to do this thing, you have the media element to you with the very successful podcast. And then what about you, the mom, and the kids? How do you choose now with all the people around you who will be the role models that you want your kids to be influenced by?
Well, we have a phenomenal team at Turning Point USA. It's a family. And Charlie handpicked every single person that's in leadership. So what the beautiful part about Turning Point USA is that everyone behind the scenes, when you pull back the curtain, they're doing exactly what they were doing on 9/9 before 9/10 happened. And we haven't lost speed. I mean, yes, of course we took time to mourn. But our team, for example, when Charlie was murdered, within 7 days we were able, by the grace of God, and we pushed through to put on that memorial for him. Our team does not look at this as a 9 to 5. It's vision-led, it's movement-driven, but it's also a way for our whole team to put their pain into something that is so bigger than any of us. And we all need this organization just as much as this country does. So it's not a job to us.
So I know how you put it together and how hard people worked, but even you must have been astounded by the number of people that attended.
Blown away.
And it took over the whole town.
Blown away. Not even the town.
There was more on the outside than the inside.
It was a global ripple effect that no one, I mean, yes, I knew my husband had impact, but to that multitude and extent is the Lord. Right. And only God can use someone to that capacity when you surrender yourself fully and say, Lord, use me how you need to.
And then you to walk out in front of 70, 80,000 people watching around the globe. Our network never took a break. We covered that. And knowing you were grieving because Charlie is no longer with us. Can you bring me to that moment when you walk out?
So I intentionally stayed in my own green room that whole time. I listened to some of the worship music. Actually, I listened to all of it. But there was a moment where they said, do you want to go and stand behind stage so you can see and feel inside? I said, no, I don't want to. I want to be able to feel that whole emotion the second I walk out on stage. Like, I want to feel the true impact of this moment. Because they said, do you want to sit out there? And I said, no, I just want to pray. I just want to be alone with my thoughts and with the Lord before I step out on that stage. And it just was the most overwhelming. I mean, when you hear a stadium and when you hear them singing hallelujah, that is a slice of heaven on earth that I don't think anyone will ever be able to put into words. It was unbelievably powerful.
But then you have to speak.
And then you have to speak. And then you see the videos of my kids and him, and like, it is just gut-wrenching.
And you did.
You have to put, life is tough. It is beautiful, but it is tough. And you are going to have to find a way. And anyone who has been through hell and back knows this. When you go through, and we were just talking about this off air, you have a decision to make when something like this happens in your life. Are you going to go into the corner and be in fetal position and just let it happen and you know, cry and cry and cry? Yes, there are moments to cry, yes. Right. But are you going to turn that moment into something and say, you know what? God, give me grace. Please give me grace. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I know that you will put one foot in front of the other and you will help me get through this, Lord. You will help me. Again, I don't know how, but I will, whatever strength you give me, strengthen the inner workings of my soul, Lord. Use me how you need to use me. Use this to make a difference. You have a decision.
And I could see that determination in seeing you face to face. Stop in the Name of God is out. Go to 45books.com. How interested are you in the investigation about what goes on? Like, what role does that play in everything that you think about?
No, it's a great question. We have a phenomenal team. I am in contact with our attorneys and the prosecutors basically daily, being like, anything new, anything new. We know without a shadow of a doubt, with the evidence that we have, that we're moving in the correct direction.
And
I trust our team with full stop.
And is part of it because you know who Kash Patel is and Dan Bongino is at the head, or is it your
It's not even that. When you have the truth and the facts, you don't need, you don't need anything else. I've seen the autopsy report. I've seen all of that. I mean, if you have the truth and you don't believe the truth, I don't know what to tell you.
But yet people don't believe. People don't trust anything that they're seeing. I've been blown away by people who come up to me and say, hey, I know you interviewed Charlie, but you know we're not getting the right story. Well, what do you mean you're not getting the right story? Well, you know that gun couldn't have done this, or he couldn't have been there, or something happened in the middle. I had somebody come up to me and say someone popped out of a manhole cover and shot him directly, and that manhole cover's been covered up. I go, I've never heard of a crazier thing, and they thought I was crazy for even questioning them. I mean, you must be getting this. It's the conspiracy theory.
I have heard all of them. And thank God we have a trial coming up. Unfortunately, that trial is in a long time. What I want to be mindful of for people is that this was a murder. This is not something that, what I don't want to have happen is for this to taint the jury pool. I don't. I want my husband, I want justice for my husband more than any other person on the internet, any other person in this world. That was my husband and the father to my kids. We will make sure, and we have been, turning over every single stone, going down every single lead. So when these people say, oh, they haven't talked about this or done that, how do you know? You're not in those meetings with the attorneys and the prosecutors. You have no idea. And why would we share that information with the internet to what? Then give the defense more stuff that's not true? Like, it's just, Erika, at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, the truth is the truth.
And this book is fantastic. I really encourage everyone to get it. Stop in the Name of God. Why Honoring the Sabbath Will Transform Your Life. Erika Kirk, great to see you. Good luck on the 5 today.
Thank you.
And thanks for putting up to me with 2 interviews. Thanks,
no, it's good. You're the best. God bless you.
The Moldovan Deputy Prime Minister joins us now. Deputy Prime Minister, can you hear me now?
I hear you well, Brian. Thank you.
Great. So how has the Ukraine war affected you in Moldova and the people of your country?
Well, the Republic of Moldova has been the country most severely affected by the war, other than Ukraine itself, of course. We welcome the largest number of refugees per capita, over 1 million. We're still hosting about 100,000, which is about 4% of Moldovan population. We provided access to healthcare, education, labor market, like any good neighbor and like any Christian would do. So our economy has been affected, our security has been affected, but we have persevered and we've come out from the past few years stronger than we were before. We've invested in our security, in our energy security, and the United States has been a trusted partner in this effort. And we commend the people of the United States and the Trump administration for promoting peace in Ukraine and in the Republic of Moldova.
What has Russia done to infiltrate into your election system?
There have been a whole host of tools. The whole playbook was thrown at us. Campaign finance, illegal campaign money provided to the pro-Russian proxy parties to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars. Crypto was being used, bank transfers from sanctioned Russian banks, paid media, the influence of all sorts of organizations that were there to sabotage and undermine our democratic process. The effort was to use the democratic means that our democracy provides to undermine democracy itself in the Republic of Moldova.
By putting pro-Russian candidates forward, right? Who pretend as if they're candidates, but they're really doing Russia's work.
Exactly. They are playing and dancing to the tune of the Kremlin. As the old saying goes, who pays that one commands the music. So that was what we faced in Moldova. But our institutions persevered. Our society showed remarkable resilience. And this is a testament to the unity and solidarity and resilience of the Moldovan people. But it's also a testament to the incredible support of the international community, first and foremost, the United States, in building the resilience of Moldovan institutions to withstand this sort of interference.
Talk about your alliance with the U.S. What are you looking for to enhance it? What do you have now from us? And what do we get from you?
We have an incredible partnership with the United States. Our security is stronger thanks to the support of the United States, including border security. Our cybersecurity is stronger. And our partners like the United States also learn from our challenges. We've had an audit done of our institutions, of our cyber defenses, and certain gaps have been identified for us to be able to plug those gaps. But also certain things have been found out that help our partners to mitigate them so they don't have to get to you, basically. Our cooperation on security and defense is rock solid. Our cooperation on energy security has been remarkable. The investments that the United States is making in the region, including in the Republic of Moldova, makes Moldova safer, but also a reliable partner for American investments in Romania and in Ukraine, for Moldova to serve as a transit country for those energy resources. So that puts us in a much stronger position to help our partners and allies and be a facilitator of those large-scale investments of the United States in the region.
We're talking to the Deputy Prime Minister of the Republic of Moldova, Mihail Popsoi, who's talking about our alliance. Now, in Ukraine, President Zelensky said yesterday something that surprised me. We're not going to give up any land. We refuse to give up any land towards any peace agreement. Now, I understand not giving up the Donbass, but if you're looking to add a practical approach to ending this conflict that Russia is solely responsible for, that's a surprising stance. Does it surprise you?
Well, it probably would be surprising if he said otherwise. Any leader of a sovereign country, it's a very difficult position to be in.
I hear you.
And I must commend President Zelensky and the Ukrainian people for their courage, for their capacity to stand up to this aggression. But I would also like to wholeheartedly commend the leadership of President Trump for genuinely seeking peace. It's not an easy undertaking. But if anybody can do it, it's Donald J. Trump and the government of the United States. Strength, peace through strength. This is the objective that works, because the Kremlin understands strength, and everybody wants peace.
If that's true, Mr. Deputy Prime Minister, shouldn't we give them the Tomahawks? Shouldn't we give them more Patriot missiles? Shouldn't we say, Vladimir Putin, if you continue to be an obstacle towards ending this fighting, that we're going to further arm up Ukraine?
This is exactly what many people understand behind the notion of peace through strength. Strength is what the international community, the free world led by President Trump has, and peace is what we all seek. And of course, this is a difficult undertaking, and I would not dare to comment on what the Ukrainian leadership or the Ukrainian people ought to do. It's definitely their sovereign choice. But it is, of course, clear that everybody wants peace, especially nobody wants peace more than Ukraine. They've been most affected. Their energy infrastructure has been destroyed. Churches, hospitals, children dying on daily basis in this needless aggression. And of course, the international community, and first and foremost, the United States, has been there by Ukraine, and we commend this effort and this leadership. This is the noble thing to do, to seek peace and to leverage the strength that the United States has and the free world towards that noble goal of peace.
So do you think Russia, when the Ukraine war comes to an end, will learn their lesson? That 6-day war ends up being 3, 4, 5 years, and they're losing 7,000 a week? Or do you look for that aggression to continue regardless of how the Ukraine war ends?
I think it's precisely the question of how the war ends in light of what will follow. If and when Ukraine gets the security guarantees that it needs, these security guarantees need to be robust enough to make sure that we avoid the scenario that you are talking about. Of course, we all know the dreams of the Kremlin and Putin to restore the empire, to restore the Soviet Union. But these are sovereign nations, Ukraine, Moldova, Baltic countries, and everybody else in the region who has firmly decided that it is up to the people of these nations to decide their future and nobody else's. And we commend the Trump administration for standing up for these sovereign nations and for the freedom of these people to seek their future and decide their future.
All right. Thanks so much. The Deputy Prime Minister of Moldova, the Republic of Moldova, Mihail Popsoi, is here and discussing the very vital alliance in a very vital region that is really under attack because of Russian aggression and expansion. Thanks so much. Great to see you and great to meet you, Mihail.
Thank you.
All right, we are back, and back in studio with us, a good friend of the show, Warren Zeiders is here, American country music superstar, songwriter, with a big announcement about a world tour coming up. And it wasn't too long ago we were freezing last winter, walking by Madison Square Garden, talking about the trajectory of your career, Warren. And since then, you've had a heck of a 2025. How would you characterize it?
2025, characterize it. I mean, I give all the glory to the good Lord. I would say it's another year of just massive blessings that, and not just to me, to my fans, to my family and everything. And, you know, it was a monumental year for me. I marked off one of my bucket lists this year.
Which is?
Played the Giants Center in my hometown, Hershey, Pennsylvania, sold out my hometown arena. We shot a mini documentary there, and we did a live recording for it. So we're dropping a live record here in the next month and a half for my fans. Never have dropped one before. So that was definitely something that was a core memory for me of this past year.
And what about the hit songs and the duet that you just pulled off?
Yeah, Love and Letting Go. Just had a #1 on Sirius XM. So shout out to them and Pandora. Pandora loves me. And then Relapse was a massive streaming hit for me after playing on my Relapse tour, and then Relapse Lies in Betrayal, my double album coming out this year that came out, and just, yeah, it's been a roller coaster.
And how have you broken it up between writing, performing, downtime? How have you worked that out? The tour especially.
Yeah, I mean, downtime is really no such thing. I mean, doesn't matter if you're in music, doesn't matter if you want to be successful in any realm of life. If you're committed to it, you have a passion for it, you have a love for it,
right? You
have to eat, sleep, and breathe it. And, you know, I'm 26, and this is the perfect time in my life to go ahead and commit my 20s to something like this.
And Warren, tell everyone, too, that's not familiar with your story, that the pandemic happens, you decide you're not going back to school. The Zoom school is losing a lot of students. We'll talk about that for generations.
Yep.
And high school and grammar school, some people still not back on track. You used it, and you're under the urging of your sister.
Yeah.
You said, "Hey, you're always playing that guitar, so why don't you put something on TikTok?"
Yeah.
And you had no TikTok account.
Nope.
So you just played what song was it that you played?
Tennessee Whiskey. Put the cover up, and as I'd said previously with you, posted it. Went to bed, woke up the next morning to 300,000-400,000 views, and just an overload of positive comments of just like, "Who are you? Where's this guy from? What music does he have?" And just wanting to know more about me. And it became a little bit of an addiction.
And when did you realize that after the pandemic's over, this is your career? Because you decided to drop out of school too, right?
Yep. So pandemic starts to loosen up. And then through that time period, I was already in talks with my manager, who's still my manager to this day. He invited me to Nashville. And my story is funny because he doesn't always work this way, but my first time going to Nashville was meeting up with him. And the second song I wrote in my life was my first hit, Ride the Lightning. And I played it for him, and he was like, "This is great, but like we should probably write another 100 songs before we even consider releasing this." I went against his will and posted it on social media. Fans blew it up, wanted it released. It's my first gold record, first platinum record, first double platinum record. So it definitely laid the foundation for me.
So why did he want you to wait?
I think just like I treat that moment in my career, and I think that it's a good way to look at him as like a mentor / a coach, maybe, so to speak, he's older than me. He's been in town for a long time. So someone who knows the inner workings of maybe the industry a little bit more than I did with being green behind the ears. I think that he was just trying to go ahead and say, "Hey, like this is not a bad song, but you should write some more, put some more time and reps in to see if something else jumps out at you." And I guess he was like, "We don't need to jump the gun." And I was like, "I don't know what you're talking about. Like, let's go for it."
And you're doing it anyway.
Hey, I'm doing it anyway. Here we are.
So when you look back at the first song that you released, it was just something, this is stuff that you picked from a guitar center. This is the audio equipment.
Yeah.
Would you ever release something like that today? Is there a sense that the audience expects more from you now?
I think there is a little bit of that. And it's funny you bring that up. So I don't know if I personally would be doing the recording. I mean, that's
Which
stuff.
you did.
I did for that acoustic covers album and my first song I ever put out, On the Run. But I definitely am very hands-on when it comes to making my records. I'm not recording it, but I'm part producing. I'm very hands-on in that. The writing element, obviously singing on it. So I think this year going into 2026, it's been a lot of thinking inwardly and listening to my fans, as I stated,
right.
Talking with you before, is paying attention and just being observant and listening to them. And I think that, you know, I put out my 717 tapes record, which was a lot of accumulation of demos, and it wasn't anything polished. And I think they fell in love with that about me. So I think going into 2026.
You mean that? You mean fans?
Yeah, the fans were liking the organic, just raw, I guess, raw and feeling uncut and unedited. And I think that that's something I'm going to try to lean into going into the writing rooms over the winter here.
Now, at this point, songwriters must be calling you and saying, listen, this sounds like you. I wrote a song for you.
Oh, yeah.
Are you reluctant to do that, to take a writer's song, or do you feel as though I could do this myself?
No. I'm a firm believer in the best song wins. I just am. I think that there's a part of me that's the artist, and there's the part of me that's the business acumen side.
Yeah.
And it's a fine line of doing what we do for a living. Now, for me, there's songs that I've put out that didn't really turn into anything, but they mean an awful lot to me because of the emotional element, what I was going through at that stage of life. But that's just the reality of the world we live in. Writing and music is all up to interpretation. You know, there's no fine lines of I scored 2 goals and I played a pretty good game.
Right.
So when it comes to the artistic side, for me, I have to walk that balance very fine. And I've had other writers send me really great music, and I have cut outside songs. I've cut 2 Chris Stapleton songs that he never cut. So I'm open to it. I think.
How does that work? Can I ask you? Because Chris Stapleton, did you see these? Do you see it online and say, anybody want these songs? Do you bid on them?
No. So the way it works in Nashville and stuff is there's the publishers that do the writing portion of your music, and it's a catalog. So there's like, I have so much music that I've written that's might never see the light of day, and there might be my publisher in town pitching some of my songs to other artists or other people to get cuts. So this one song I put out that was Chris's was like a 10, 11-year-old song that he had written, never put out. And it was just living there, and someone pitched it to me, and I heard Chris sing on it, and they were like, we've tried to get this song cut forever, but no one wanted to go ahead and cut the song because they hear Chris Stapleton on, and they're like, what am I supposed to do with this?
Yeah.
So I took it as a challenge, and I was like, you know what? I'm a big Chris fan, love his voice, love his style. I'm going to go ahead and cut this and record this and put my own flair on it.
And what was it?
Love on the Line and Inside Your Head were those 2 Chris Stapleton songs.
But when people leave a song out there, is it them singing it, or do you have to read the music and see the lyrics?
So he recorded a demo. So he recorded a demo for it. So they pitched me the lyrics, and then they sent me with the lyrics his demo, so I could listen through on what it would sound like. So it's really, we live in such a fun time. I mean, we're not even talking about AI yet, just with what's going on in music, but it's the digital age that we're living in it's so much fun for the creative side.
But in a way, isn't AI scaring the hell out of actors and musicians because they could commission AI to write write me a hit country music song, make it sound a little like Chris Stapleton, a little like Warren Zeiders.
Yep.
And then you get this result. That to me is scary.
100%, but you got to have, I mean, yes, limitations to it and whatnot. I mean, I'll be the first one to admit it to you. It's like, you're trusting the public to use it the right way. And I've seen other writers and other artists use it in a tool way, I guess I would say. So, I mean, I'll be the first one to admit it. I wrote a song the other week, and I used a AI platform to go ahead and was like, hey, I don't know how to do this on the guitar, on how I want to make this sound instrumentally. So it'll go ahead and spit something out for you if you want to change the melody up.
Really?
Yeah, it's super cool. And it's like, it is a fine line on what you're talking about. Obviously, I haven't recorded the song or anything like that, but it allowed my brain to see something else. And now I can take this idea and take it to my producer and be like, hey, here's a rough draft of kind of what I was thinking. We wrote it this way, not changing lyrics, but I want to go ahead and change the melody up a little bit and have it be a little bit more rock or more ballad-esque or more in this vein. It just makes it fun.
Yeah. Could you put it in there and say, okay, here's my song, make it better? Or does it need specific commands?
I feel like it needs specific commands because obviously, like you say, make it better. It's going to go ahead and try to interpret that in a million different ways. I haven't tried that specific thing, but it's been fun to watch how some people feel one-sided about it, and then other people want to embrace it because it's an undeniable thing that's coming up, and I want to learn the tool.
this year you're going to have a world tour.
Mm-hmm.
So if these dates are correct, remember it starts in March.
Yep.
So how do you know that you're popular overseas? Are you able to see where the downloads are?
Yeah. Downloads, streams. You can see all the data and all the numbers. I've actually been extremely massive over in Australia since I began this thing. So it's been a long time coming.
Have you been there yet?
I've been there one time for one festival, and I had like the 4 or 5 o'clock slot and had a massive fan base. When I tell you they were singing deep cuts, like they weren't just singing the hits, they were singing everything.
Wow.
I was like, okay, I could really have something over here. So we went ahead and we got a couple shows over in Australia. It's been a long time coming. By that rate in March, that'll be about my 4-year mark of touring. So yeah, they've been wanting it.
And where can we find out where you're going to be located?
If you go to my Instagram, you can go find it on there. You can go to warrenzeiders.com. You guys can go see my entire touring schedule. Right. And see where the world tour is going to take me.
It starts in Virginia Beach. I believe that's America. Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, how appropriate. Verona, New York. So then Birmingham, Alabama. And then Brandon, Missouri. So it'll be start off local, and then you end up overseas.
Yes, sir.
All right. A few more minutes with Warren Zeiders when we get back. His world tour is now announced. You can go get it. You can always download all his music. As you get his origin story, that's going to make you even like him even more. Don't move. You listen to the Brian Kilmeade Show. So Warren Zeiders came out of 4 years ago. No one knew you. Now everybody knows you. So at 22, you emerge. At 26, you're ready for a world tour. First off, explain this song.
So Only Bible. I was in church a couple months back, and I was going through some stuff at that moment, just on tour. And I guess, praying as I always do, but kind of looking for, answers from the good Lord and just kind of what's going on right now in my life. And surely enough, he always has a fun way of answering prayers. And I'm in church, and my pastor's wrapping up his sermon, and it was a perfect timing of just what I was going through. And he finishes his sermon by saying, not everyone steps foot in a church. Not everyone is going to open their Bibles, and some people never have access. And you might be the only Bible that somebody reads in this lifetime. And it was just something that hit me straight to the soul. Mm-hmm. And I wrote that down in my notes as I was taking notes in church. And I was like, that's a song. Like, that is legitimately a song that you can write, because you can be the example for others. We're all imperfect. We're all sinners. We all need God every single day. And it was just something like, it really changed my perspective of where I was at as a 26-year-old. And surely enough, it was like 2 days after I wrote that in my notebook. That's when Trump tweeted and truthed about me. It was just a perfect timing, alignment, and then that's when led 2 weeks later to going to the White House. Yeah. I mean, it was surreal.
Because one of your comments you made on our feature was, "I'd love to golf with the president."
Yeah,
and he saw that.
Yeah,
yeah.
And we're hopefully working on it. I hear he's quite.
Are you a good golfer?
Good enough. I'm competitive too, so I'll be like, hey, I'll bring the competitive spirit out. I was talking to some people. I've just been at the White House and stuff, and they're like, you might grip your clubs a little bit tighter than normal when you have a bunch of Secret Service around you. I'm like, I'm used to being under pressure, man.
And what I hear too, and I've seen it, but I don't golf. But he is the ultimate host. He's making sure you have everything. Mm-hmm. He's taking care of you and making sure the clubs are right and all that stuff. So he's always out there making sure. So you got to be ready with your foursome or three, or at least somebody to golf with.
I'm just patiently waiting for the phone call and being like, cancel your plans. You got to get on a flight and go. So
except for the world tour. So tell us about the world tour. What countries are you going to stop in? I know you start locally.
Yep, we start locally here in the U.S. Very minimal stuff this year in the U.S. just because that was a part of our plan. I've been touring so much here over the last 3.5 years. But we start locally here. I want to say on the East Coast. You brought up Virginia Beach.
Yeah.
Then we go out west where I'll hit up Utah and some places out along the way there. I play Stagecoach this year, which is going to be so much fun. And then we go over we're going to hit Australia for the first time on that tour. Then
Glasgow, it looks like?
Yep. Then we go over to Europe and UK for the second time, and my fan base over there is absolutely phenomenal. Right. I mean, to go over there for the first time and sell out my first tour was incredible.
So do they follow country music? Is that a new evolution?
New-ish. Country is definitely growing over there, but as you and I were talking about off the air, with me leaning a little bit more rock in my music and having that influence, that's something that's super popular over there. That kind of grunge, early 2000s rock. So having that kind of mix between my music is what has really led.
So when you talk about getting your music out there, how do you look at traditional radio? We're on over 200 stations, and we're also streaming, and we're also on Sirius XM over the weekends. They air us. How do artists like you, Warren, view the radio these days?
You know, for me, being a guy that came up through the ranks of streaming and social media numbers, you know, my first hit was a country radio hit, so to speak. It was just streaming numbers, helped me get my record deal and everything. And then on the flip side, I'm sitting here and we have my hit song, Pretty Little Poison, that's triple platinum. And that song was massively global, #1 on country radio, and just so many awards, accolades with that song. And I view country radio and I view radio as a whole as, I call it the cherry on top. I think that it is the final chapter when it comes to a song that helps you elevate it to that last threshold, whether that's bringing in more people to your shows and stuff. But you got to have the streaming numbers, in my opinion, the social numbers, the butts and seats, and then country radio brings it home.
Karl Rove, the ball is yours. How are you? Great to see you in person.
Good to be here. Thanks for having me into the inner sanctum.
Right. I mean, it's not usually people that can penetrate this deep.
Yeah, the amount of security that surrounds this place, of strap hangers, aides, assistants, you know, the guy who brings you your coffee, you know, I mean, the guy who comes in and gives you the hot towel in between sessions. It's amazing how many people work to keep you feeling comfortable.
It's hard to keep people because I have a temper and I just fire them. If they don't have a good attitude, they're gone. So there's a lot of tension. You walked into a room full of a lot of tension.
Actually, I walked into a room about 4 or 5 of your longtime friends and associates who love you and enjoy working with you.
And you come on every time. So the president's going to go out, and I think you support this. You always said that. As soon as you seal the border, go to the border.
Yeah.
You know, you have a great immigration story to tell.
Yeah.
So tell everyone what you mean. Affordability is not a hoax.
Yeah.
But the fact that Democrats are using it against him, he thought was a hoax.
Well, but he should have stayed away from it. You're right. His language the other day was better, saying they created the problem, we're solving the problem. He's got to stay away from 2 things. One is stay away from the language claiming the affordability thing is a hoax. Just stay away from it. Anything that could be misinterpreted is going to be misinterpreted. And second of all, do not overhype the American economy. This thing of we've got an economy that's plus, when most people do not feel that way, is exactly the problem that Joe Biden had. Bidenomics is working, he said. No, we didn't feel it. So the president, I think you're right. He's got the right tone when he says, they created a problem, we're solving it, and then he needs to find ways to exemplify, to make concrete the things that he's doing, you know, in a timely fashion. You're right. For example, I hope they're planning on the date that the provision of the big, beautiful bill pops in about car loans, that he spends 3 or 4 or 5 days going out there talking about it. So
because what does it allow you to write off the interest on the car loan or something to that effect?
It basically, yes, it makes it cheaper for people, middle-class people, to buy a car. And that's going to mean a lot to people. So, but don't oversell it. Under promise and over deliver is what he needs to do for the next.
I don't know if Trump could do that. Trump always.
Well, I know, but he's got to resist it because remember this. I mean, Joe Biden, when he said, you know, Bidenomics is working, we didn't feel that. And the president has to understand that people are feeling sour about the economy. They know the economy was better when he was in office, so they're willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. But he's got to undersell and overperform.
So CBS did a poll: 36% approval on the economy, 32% approval on the inflation. 60% said the president makes things sound better than they are. Yeah. So what I heard is, and you probably said the same report, that his aides sat down with him over the last 2 or 3 days and they showed him some of these polls and showed him what's going on. Now you got to go out and he said, let's do it. Let's go to Pennsylvania. Because the president wants to win, wants to be successful. Now, he wants to will the pandemic away. I understand in his gut, I can do it. We can do it. It's done. Let's finish. Let's open up the schools. Let's get back to work. Well, the doctors were pushing him back on that. We can debate that. And now he's like, we're going. Look at all the things we've done. Look at all the money's coming in. Let's go. So he wants to will it away, power of positive thinking. Remember, one of the first inspirational speakers he met with was Norman Vincent Peale. Yeah. As a kid, he used to sit in church and Norman Vincent Peale used to speak. Yeah. So that's a little bit of his axiom, which makes him a positive force. I like that he's getting out there. What I also hear that he does is listen to the applause lines or the lack thereof. And when he has a line that gets a big report, he goes, okay, well, this is a policy. And when one doesn't work, like warp speed, which a lot of people, including me, think he did a great job. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't. Yeah. And they think of the vaccine. So he had to drop that.
Yeah, but be careful. The people who attend rallies for him are not the voters that he needs to be concerned about next year. Those are the people who are in his camp. So he needs to be careful about the applause lines he wants to get to make certain he knows are the applause lines of the people who don't show up at the rallies but are up for grabs in the election. I mean, got to be very careful. I mean, the problem with being a president is that office is so overwhelming that you can get isolated and insulated. And between now and November of next year, he needs to be listening carefully to the advisors around him who are taking the pulse of the American people who are not necessarily attendees at his rallies.
I don't know what it is. When Paul Ryan decided, I'm not going to do this again. I'm not going to be speaker. And everybody I talked to, even before he said that, was like, they're not going to hold the majority. I go, guys, it's a year and a half. What do you mean not going to hold the majority? Mm-hmm. I was like, what is it about? And color me naive because I never ran a campaign. Why is it that people are like, well, they're not going to hold the majority. They're not giving up yet. But why is it that when you have all these individual relations that have all these different characteristics, there's a sense in Washington of fait accompli on certain things?
Well, let's be clear. Since in the modern era, since the end of World War II, there have only been 2 midterm elections in which the party that held the White House gained seats in the U.S. House of Representatives. 1998, when Bill Clinton's approval rating was, I think, about 66% just before the election, and 2002, when George W. Bush was about 63. Yeah. I happened to have been at the White House during that period of time. We picked up seats. It was really difficult, even with an approval rating in the 60s. And so when the president's approval ratings, I think in Real Clear Politics is like 42.5, 43, in the Gallup it's 36, that's going to be tough sledding. Now, we are in a different moment. The country is deeply polarized. The parties are at near parity. The Republicans had initially an advantage, albeit not as big as they thought, from redistricting mid-decade. Some of that was wiped away by what the Democrats did in California. There may be other Democratic states that jiggle the lines in ways.
Don't you think they countered it, or they have more? They're going to win out on that in Texas?
Well, look, in Texas, the theory is it's going to pick up 5 Republican seats. Well, first of all, Henry Cuellar, the Democrat from Laredo, ran ahead of Biden and ran ahead of Harris. And the fact that President Trump gave him a pardon it means he's going to be the Democratic nominee, and he's enormously popular. And the one big thing that Republicans were using against him, that he was under indictment for corruption, is now gone away. And then another one of those seats is Trump won it by 1 point. And it's a very heavily Hispanic seat that runs from Brownsville to Corpus Christi. Now, the other 3 are likely to be Republican. One of them is a majority Hispanic seat to the east of Houston, but it ain't going to be 5 seats. And let me tell you, in California, it may not be as many seats as the Democrats are going to are claiming that they're going to have, but nonetheless, it probably is going to at least offset the Republican advantage of pickup of 3 seats in
because
Texas.
In California, I just tell you that Darrell Icke is very popular. He'll be tough. Don't you think it's going to be a tough out? You get it in San Diego, especially.
Yeah, but he didn't help himself by spending 10 days saying, "I think I'm going to move to Texas and maybe run for one of those new seats there." Look, we welcome Californians to come to Texas, but we're not interested in their politicians. We want the job creators. We want the people who are going to move their businesses and their talents to Texas, and that didn't help him. But yeah, he's popular. He's a fixture. He's got personal resources, a record. Yeah.
So a couple of things. The big advantage that gives me that I don't think you could possibly say the die has been cast is when I see what happened in New York City.
Yeah.
And when I see what happened in the mayor's race that almost happened in Minneapolis, the one that happened in Seattle, when I see that Hakeem Jeffries was going to be primaried by a socialist, this socialist movement is real on the left. And Bernie Sanders is the maestro behind it.
Yeah. Well, take a look at the Tennessee 7th District special election we just had. This woman was a nut.
Candidate ever.
I mean, I hate country music in the capital of country music. When are we going to get rid of the police department? Mocking the ICE agents and with a video. I mean, she was a nut, and she came within 9 points of winning in a district that Donald Trump carried by 22. And Mark Green, the Republican incumbent, had won by 21. So the more nuts they nominate, the worse off they're going to be. And the question is, how stupid are they going to be between now and the general election of next year in their primary?
More with Karl Rove, because there is a divide on the right too, and I want Karl to offer his analysis on that. And this new thing that they did maybe it's not so new. Karl Rove knows exactly what it's like for another party to take an issue and try to get your eye off the ball and try to beat that issue to death. And I remember it was the 21 words in the State of the Union address. Mm-hmm. And we weren't talking about anything else for the longest time, yet there were so many important issues. The Democrats have been successful, and they're trying to do it again. From the Epstein files, in my view, and now they're trying to do it with the double tap hit on a Venezuelan boat. More on that in a moment. Brian Kilmeade Show.
This meltdown inside of MAGA, where you have you take the 10 most powerful people, all of whom could be massive assets to the president, and they spend almost every day infighting with each other in these awful allegations. And if you watch any of the MAGA media over the weekend, just terrible, gross kind of accusations against each other about their sexuality and their commitment to America, what Tucker Carlson is doing, whether or not he's going to buy a place in the Middle East, and that was the base of the party. That was the power of the party. And when you start to see those members of MAGA turn on each other and then turn on the president, it just takes away one of his weapons in terms of getting Republicans to fall in line. But I end where we began, which is until I truly see Republicans force his hand, I think it's rhetoric, and I think it's, yes, it's indicative that they're willing to say a couple of things, mild things against the president, but let's see if they really force him to release that video when Pete Hegseth doesn't want to and the president doesn't want to.
So I got two things to talk about, but first, Karl Rove, tell me about Jim Vandehey's reporting. He's right, by the way. All you do is read social media. The Tucker Carlsons, the Candace Owens, the Tim Dillons, I guess, fighting with the more traditional Republicans, the horrible things they're saying about Charlie Kirk and the assassination and what's true and what's not true. Your thoughts about what's happening on the right?
Well, this is not helpful to the president's agenda, not helpful to the president, and it is not in keeping with, I think, the values of the Republican Party or the MAGA movement. This idea that, for example, that Israel is inconsequential and that we ought to step away, and the stuff that goes with it. Candace Owens, anti-Semitic. I mean, it's like
no question.
I mean, it's unbelievable that it's. I think I'm listening to Father Coughlin, and it's the 1930s, and he's blaming the Depression on the Jews, and some of this other stuff is just amazing to me. Yeah, and again, not to pick on her, but she's one of the most obvious ones. Her attacks on Turning Point killed Charlie Kirk, and they
fired back.
Yeah,
over the weekend.
Yeah, and then that the wife of the president of France is a man. I mean, it's like absurd things. And what happened to Tucker Carlson, for God's sake? I mean, if you are a supporter of Israel and a Christian, you're engaged in heresy, he says. I mean, and he takes a second-rate so-called public historian who says Winston Churchill is responsible for World War II, and Adolf Hitler's destruction of 6 million Jews was a mismanagement problem. I mean, they just didn't have the resources to.
It's crazy.
I mean, it's crazy.
And you saw Douglas Murray. I think one of the most telling moments when Douglas Murray agreed with Joe Rogan and the comedian, I forgot his name, who came out and said genocide in the Gaza. And Douglas Murray went with them with facts and Oxford background. And this is the background. This is it. Have you been there? No, I haven't. But this is what I think. And the pictures that you have. So you saw the ultimate, if anyone could see this on Joe Rogan, who brought an expert with him, who pretty much was against Douglas Murray, one of the smartest people we both know, or for me at least.
Yes.
And he was my lead guest over the weekend. So there's a real concern. Mark Levin fighting with these guys, and I'm torn because I'm great friends. I think I'm really good friends with Tucker, but I just don't agree with anything he's saying.
Yeah. Look, I think the difference is if this is happening in the Congress and it's happening in conservative media, the difference between actual leaders, thought leaders in the case of the media, actual leaders in Congress, and performance artists. And these are people who are looking for more clicks, more subscribers.
They're treated the same way.
And I mean, look, when you go out there and say the wife of the president of France is a man, when there is absolutely no evidence whatsoever that is a demented mind that is just simply trying to get more attention.
Yeah, but do you think that this lawsuit is going to result in the exposure of the statement? Remember, it bankrupted Alex Jones.
I hope so. There has to be a consequence for people who know. I mean, think about it. She says the entire space program is a myth. We did not land a man on the moon. It was all contrived. It was on a back lot in Hollywood someplace.
Did we go 5 times?
Yeah, I mean,
it's like 5 or 6 times.
Yeah, but it's all phony. It's all phony. And I mean, people can get away in the podcast era and the internet era and the social media era with saying the most extraordinary things.
I don't want to get cut off because I know we're going to have one more segment. But so what does it mean politically? I knew what the Tea Party meant for traditional conservatives. I knew what the socialists mean to typical liberal Democrats. But what does this podcast lane mean for Republicans?
Well, first and foremost, it's a lost opportunity. We're talking about, should we release the Epstein files? And is the wife of the president of France a man or a woman? And is there an international Jewish conspiracy controlling the government of the United States? Rather than talking about the things that matter to the people who are up for grabs in the 2026 midterm elections. That's the biggest thing. But the second thing is it shows the rot in the conservative movement today that these kind of people are tolerated. We cannot allow anti-Semitics and cranks to become the face and the front of the conservative movement in America.
And nobody's more anti-Semitic than this guy, Nick Fuentes.
Yes, he's a Nazi who proclaims his admiration for Adolf Hitler and Joseph Stalin. He was happy when the two of them did their deal in 1939.
And yet he's got more clicks than anybody. Crazy. Back in a moment.